Hey everybody, my name is Jay, and this is Eye of a Samurai. Today we're going to be going over an offline match that I had at a weekly tournament that happens in Hatboro, Pennsylvania. This will be the first time that I've had a weekly tournament around me in virtually ever, so I'm actually pretty excited about it. Hopefully we get, a fairly decent turnout each time. That'll be cool. This was in winners finals. I'll be the Grow player on the right versus my opponent Plural, who's playing Raphael on the left. In terms of the competition that's here, it seems like the people who show up to these kinds of things, they play a lot of games. It looks like Tekken is a pretty big game around here. It seems like a lot of the players, this person and another person that I played in grand finals, they seem to be pretty good fighting game players. They understand the fundamentals of fighting games, just like the rhythm of it. It's kind of difficult to explain. But in terms of their Soul Calibur experience, it's fairly limited. So they're not necessarily catching the amount of punishes that they want to do, which is especially important for a character like Raphael. So I don't have a lot of experience with, well, I guess nobody does. I don't have a lot of experience with Raphael just yet in this game. I'm really kind of working just off of the knowledge I have of him in previous games. In case you guys haven't played other Soul Calibur games, Raphael is generally pretty awful. He's more often than not considered to be a fairly weak character. I don't know if it's going to be the same in this game. Generally, his main weaknesses are he is fairly linear. He has very skinny hitboxes, which makes sidestepping a big proponent of trying to beat Raphael. And also, his damage is normally pretty low. In this game, it doesn't seem like damage is necessarily his problem. I don't know yet, but it seems like he actually does get decent damage on fairly common situations, so that'll be pretty good. It would be so exciting to see Raphael actually good in this game. Kind of reminds me of like what I was seeing in the beta version with Zasalamo. Back in Soul Calibur 4, Zas is such an aesthetically pleasing and unique and interesting character, just a guy with a scythe. But in Soul Calibur 4, he was terrible, and so I'm really, I hope the fact that I haven't really seen him in tournament all that much isn't indicative of, his weakness as a character. I hope these two guys are Raphael and Zaslamo are pretty good in this game because it would just be unique to see those types of characters in the game. But yeah, let's get started. So right there, he can automatically punish. Gets a GI. That doesn't do as much damage as I initially thought it was. So I've guessed wrong on 2 GIs. Luckily, I haven't taken too much damage, and by not too much damage, I mean like Half-Life. I was playing Geralt for the majority of this tournament, which I think is the reason why I screwed up that combo, because I had to get into Grow mode again. I figured in Winners Finals it would probably be best for me to go with a character that I can abuse character unfamiliarity with. So some things that I want to go back to in that match as I was talking. So he's getting like some pretty good damage here. I catch his whiff punish, and so right there, that is a fairly standard setup that I end up doing, where if my opponent tries to tech forward, back, or just stays on the ground, 4-4-B is at least something that they're going to have to block, which is at plus frames, so it's pretty good. He tech to the side, which actually gives him an opportunity to try and fight back against me. I got kind of lucky with my panic, like sidestep 2-2-B. The 2-2-B, I think I've talked about before, is a really good whiff punisher, because as you can tell here, it lethal hits off of a vertical, and more often than not, especially with Raphael, you want to be doing vertical hits. So I get kind of lucky with that. He disrespects the frame advantage off of my initial guard break. He does it again here, so it's something that I have to keep in check. Here I'm just kind of like trying to find a way to like get out of this. I end up trying to do a whiff punish, but it doesn't work. He doesn't punish again, and because he didn't punish, I felt like I could move, which is probably a bad idea, and I end up losing the round because of it. I don't whip punish there either. I'm kind of slow. I'm just kind of like testing him out in terms of certain abilities. I screw up the combo there too. I'm trying to test out his understanding of like Grow mix-ups and stuff like that too. I find that this is very important when you are dealing with like when you have an opportunity to potentially get wins with character unfamiliarity, which is going to be huge with virtually every character in the game within the first few months, but it's always something that you want to test out your opponent with in the beginnings of a set. So this is Winners Final, so I have a best 3 out of 5. I have plenty of time, and so the first 2 rounds of this game. In fact, that's kind of like a common thing that you hear from fighting game players, is that you get 2 rounds to figure out how to win the next 3. Or in this case, I potentially have 1 or 2 games to figure out how to win the next 3. So I'm kind of just putting him in very common situations, such as, what does he do when I make him block a guard break? What does he do when I try to catch him with an unsealable low that puts me at plus frames? What do I do when I have a stance transition? Does he punish it? Does he mash? That kind of stuff. So it seems like he's not necessarily familiar with the punishes off of things like 6-6A and probably 6-6B. It seems like he wants to mash once he blocks a guard break, and it seems that he's going to be patient during stances. I would actually argue that it's probably best for him to reverse those last 2, to be more mashy when I go into stance transition, and to be less mashy after he blocks a guard break. So a little bit of weirdness there. Neither of us hit our setups, and I just go for a tick grab. That's one of the things that's unfortunately a little bit too common for me, is that I try to end rounds with a grab a little bit too much. Nice block. I'm kind of using 1K. I've talked about it plenty of times. See, I catch him off of the mash as well, and then he goes into sidestep, which the stance A will take care of. But yeah, I'm using 1K to kind of get over highs and stuff as well. I think I screwed up a soul charge there. Yeah, I think that's what ended up happening. So you guys might remember me talking about it in my Talon video. If you ended up seeing it, you don't want to activate soul charge unless you get that pushback, which is not what happened, and I ended up losing a lot of time to get pressure. He blocks the 1A, but I'm pretty sure he can get more damage. I'm not 1,000,000% sure on that. If he can't get more damage, that really stinks for him. So something to take note in that. The information that I gathered off of that match was how he interacts with soul charge, so it didn't seem like he was necessarily all that comfortable with the stance A, which not a lot of people are yet, so that's definitely getting me a lot of mileage. I don't really know what I'm going to do once people are prepared to handle that. But secondly, it seems that even though he has good blocks with some of these lows, he's not necessarily punishing as much as he could, so it's not too much of a deterrent. I can still do these lows, because even if he blocks it, who cares? And I'd rather not lose those tools. So I'm just going to kind of keep doing it. Here I start realizing I haven't been using reversal edge. I don't use a lot of reversal edge when I play Geralt, but reversal edge is a huge thing for Grow to build up meter and stuff. And so here I just kind of realized, oh right, reversal edge is like a thing that I can do in this game. I decide to pop soul charge so that I can potentially end this round kind of like that. And I get a whiff punish to end out the first game. So to kind of go over a handful of things, if I was in the Raphael's perspective, I'm stepping a whole lot. I'm stepping at disadvantage a whole lot. You have good blocks. Like, you know, if I'm the Raph player, I'm thinking I'm getting good blocks with these lows, but I'm not necessarily getting the amount of damage that I'm hoping for. So I should probably do that. I should probably be doing a lot more horizontals to try and catch him, like, mashing sidestep. And, you know, the stance kind of mix-ups, I should probably do a few, like, slower things, seeing as how me as the Grow player, I'm being a bit patient because I don't really know what Raph's options are with the stance stuff. And now me as the Grow player, I would be thinking, okay, well, he's getting good blocks on his lows, but it's not particularly important because I'm not really taking a lot of damage for it. Also, I have to remember that reversal edge is the thing. I'm trying to do GIs, but GIs aren't necessarily like the way to go against a character that's that fast. I'm not going to be able to react to like a lot of that kind of stuff. Plus, he has tons of options in his stances. I don't think GI is a good idea. Reversal edge just gives me a window that's so much larger. Plus, it gives me the meter gain, and he can't really do too much about it. So, you know, I should be doing more reversal edge, I think. I don't know too much about like which one of us benefits more in terms of a heavy ring out stage. Neither of us are using the stage too much to our advantage. I try to keep it in the center as much as possible because I'm really worried about janky ring out stuff. So here he ducks, and he goes for a GI. I win the GI fight. Good block again, and a good punish. So here it's probably pretty good that he's being a little bit aggressive with small hits. For one, it's pretty good in terms of you don't want to give me the opportunity to potentially ring you out with a 6-6A or a 6A, which I probably could have done at any point during that. But he's also, we played before the tournament, me and this Raphael player, and he can tell that I mash GI, and like when I was playing him, I was using Geralt, and I mash the parry a lot that Geralt has as well. So he's doing a lot of like quick hits that are on a little bit awkward timing, and he doesn't necessarily follow up in a common way because he doesn't want to get GI'd. It makes sense. Yeah, maybe I had to take back what I said about Raphael's damage. Here I make kind of like a cheesy way of trying to like end the round. It doesn't end up working in my favor. And here, I'm not entirely sure if he wanted to fully duck to that extent. I feel like he may have wanted to duck initially and then tried to sidestep, but he was caught in his duck animation. I might be giving him too much credit. I'm not sure. Here I get lucky with a back turn B plus K. So right there, it was a situation where I made him block a guard break, and he respected the frames, and I figured that he would, so I go for a 1A. I just wanted to note that for future situations where that happens. I don't think he knows that that's a low. So once again, I'm using reversal edge. Pretty tough to deal with reversal edge in that situation, because he has so little life. I'm not even necessarily doing it for the meter gain. Oh, I end up getting caught by that. So yeah, I'm using GI too much. If I had just done a reversal edge there, it would have been a lot better. So I'm using 1AK as a whip punisher. I'm going into normal, grow, stance, weirdness, but he ends up mashing out of it and catches me. Ooh, wasn't aware about the teleport. Gets a good block and an okay punish. So now he's going to use Soul Charge to try and bring this back. The reason why I did that 3B is because he ran into the teleport B the first time, so I was kind of hoping that I would have a little bit more Soul Charge time left. I was like, okay, well, maybe I can just end the round now, end the game now, because he'll try to go in and whiff punish it again. Luckily, for one, he didn't anticipate that the Soul Charge was going to end before I would get that opportunity to do the teleport B again. Here I tried to go for a real cheeky, like, just stance A because we were at range, and that's one thing that Raphael definitely has in this game, is that he has an unseeable low in his Soul Charge that combos into something that has decent damage but also a knockdown to start it all over again. But the main thing that I take away from that round is I was up a good amount of health. He was in Soul Charge, so I was a little bit worried, but frankly, I tried to force the round to end, and then I ended up losing because of it. It was really probably best that I stayed patient. There was no reason to go in. That's a little bit of an amateur mistake on my part.
Scooped him up. Scooped him up. All right, some life in plural. Says I'm not free.
Punish with the AA. That auto sidestep off of 6-6AA and 6-6BB that Grow gets makes him very difficult to handle in those kinds of situations. He steps the B again. It's kind of the same situation that happened before. Remember, in the first round, where I did 4-4B to try and catch somebody waiting on the ground. He side techs, which is what you're supposed to do, but then he immediately goes for a vertical, and I can just sidestep into 2-2B. So it's kind of like a whiff punish bait, which will be completely stopped if you just either wait, because 2-2B is going to be punishable on block, not heavily, but still punishable on block, or you can just do a horizontal. Nice block. He has good blocks on my lows.
I definitely think on that back turn he could have done more, but still
The commentator here was talking about how I could probably do a little bit more once I sidestepped him and was back turn, and he's probably right, but at the same time, I was a bit worried because, again, I'm not entirely familiar with Raphael's ability to, I don't know if an auto GI is going to come out when he goes into stance, and even though I'm behind him, it's going to activate. I just wanted to get something really safe because I don't need to make a heavy commitment due to the fact that I have such a health lead.
Besides a competent Cervantes, but Cervantes is so technical.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't want to go for another a stage change, if only to keep it fresh. So that's the same series as before. You can kind of tell I'm getting a little bit of a read on my opponent, where I make him block a guard break. He will mash. If the mash doesn't work, he will sidestep. So that gives me A plus B on block into B, which will always hit, into A, which will always hit.
Very nice staying in the stance to follow.
I'm doing 4A because that's the other safe transition that he has.
You look like a year.
Nice GI.
Nice combo.
I tried to go for a B plus K again, and I tried to mash the 2A again, but none of that kind of stuff works. That was 1K to try and duck under something.
Next mix up.
None of my stuff works. And again, I went for a GI, but I feel like reversal edge would have been better. I think reversal edge, I should be doing more reversal edge. Here, once again, he respects the frame advantage off of the 1A. You might remember the last time it was essentially the exact same kind of thing. I went 1A into grab, and this is it happening a second time. I think in between that, he had disrespected 1A, and I gotten hit by it. So he should have just keep going. Keep going with disrespecting 1A because I'm not taking advantage of that frame advantage. There we go. He ends up finally being able to hit me when he's right off of that side tech. He goes for that a little bit too much off of the GI. That tends to be his option every time. I'm not saying it's a bad option, but any option is going to be a bad option if you do it every time. Even the most solid and simple ones. Oh, I got lucky that his GI ended up whipping.
Really doing very good.
Blocks and blocks. When it comes to that kick, he ended up catching me in a GI. Not only have I constantly been saying that maybe GI isn't the best thing to do here, but also GI, especially in that situation with the stance stuff, is probably not the best way to go. It's probably best just to stay patient and try to block it out. That kick, if I had to guess, is going to be easier to block with time because it seems like there's such a heavy visual cue of him like jumping up and it's in this specific situation. It's probably best that I just block it. Is it punishable on block? Let me know.
Like that. Great punish.
So I'm going to go into Soul Charge, doing the exact same kind of setup that I tend to do. I catch him mashing twice into a GI, which he then delays his same option. Let me know what that situation that he just did is on block. There's that follow-up that he does that kind of like forces me into crouch. It seems like, is he like plus on that? Or like just a tiny bit disadvantage? Because it seems to me that at least he believes that that's the case, because he's doing things like a GI afterwards, as if I'm going to disrespect something. I've just decided for now that I'm going to respect it until I can 100% understand that frame situation. But it seems like it's a situation that was specifically designed to like catch people trying to mash 2A out of that situation. Jimbo Nader, let me know.
Very nice mix up there, but
so he GIs into GI. I go for a guard break into the A there. So the reason why I go into the A is because it'll catch his sidestep, and I'm at such a heavy life lead that if I'm wrong, he's going to hit me with, like, you know, one of those, like, wall rising moves or something like that, or he's going to punish the A, which isn't going to be too much damage, and I like using the A there because it's the option that 100% ensures that I don't lose my stage positioning. I think my stage positioning in that situation is very important. I think that it would be much more important than losing, let's say, half the life that I have left. Because that's going to force him into a position where he has to make panicky type of bets because he doesn't have anywhere to walk or run. So he has full meter now. I have nothing, which is fine. We clash with the B plus K. Nice block off the 1K. These guys are really good at blocking lows. The other person I'm going to talk about in the next video. See, he does the same GI there. I'm not sure why. Just so you know, A plus B does not hit grounded, so you could stay on the ground, but then you'll get kind of chewed up like this with 6-6B. This is kind of my frustration of like, well, he seems to be blocking low quite a lot, or mashing on wake up. 6-6B takes care of both of those. It also takes care of people who are just rolling on the ground. You just kind of have to hope that you don't get some like weird tracking issues with 6-6BB. Happens a lot to me where my opponent starts rolling on the ground and Groke goes like the completely opposite direction. You end up getting wrung out, and bad news all around. But yeah, it's a very good mid. Gets a lethal hit that I've never seen before. That looks really cool. Now, if I remember correctly, doesn't this do like no damage? Yeah, that seems like no damage. I don't know why it does so little damage. I feel like as time goes on, I'm going to be able to block that. I feel like Soul Charge is a way for me to just essentially get this. So this was a very weird situation. I did the 4B just to get into like my standard cancel. It ended up lethal hitting. It can 4B can lethal hit if it hits the opponent from behind. But I had never pulled that off before. It was not my intention to do so. It was just an added portion of like me slightly turning when I do 4B plus him continuing a linear attack that's like not tracking me. What should I do there? 4B into teleport B, I suppose, but it's not going to fully hit in the same way. Very weird situation. He soul charges to get me off of him, which is the smart thing to do. Punches the 1A. Yeah. So once again, this is very much kind of like that other round that I talked about where I, in the middle of like him being in soul charge, I do stance A to kind of finish the round. Here I just tried to like run in and do a 1AK, and so we have two situations where I could have just played it safe and let the match unfold as it should, and in both situations I tried to force the round to win, and I lost both rounds because of it. So patience is definitely the key against more experienced fighting game players.
So this is make or break for Plural right now.
So now I have the meter. I'm doing the same kind of thing, sidestep into 2-2B. He respects 1A yet again.
I was hoping for the stand-up.
Gets a lethal hit. Should probably activate Soul Charge, yeah.
Bringing a Soul Charge, hitting the double trigger right back on him.
He wakes up with a button again. He tends to do that when I'm in Soul
A lot
Charge.
of leverage here.
Here I
that's gonna
get
be
the
a
whiff
lot of
punish,
damage.
and I finally am able to capitalize off of his propensity for blocking lows. So my overall takeaways of the match, as time goes on, I guess I'll try to get a little bit better about blocking Raphael's stance kind of stuff, or being more patient with Raphael's stance stuff. For the Raphael player, if he gets more experience with blocking and kind of whittling down Gro's life with punishing things like 6-6 BB on blocks, 6-6 AA, he's getting okay damage off of these lows, but somebody let me know if Raphael can get potentially more damage off of that, maybe like 2-3-6B. I don't know if that's fast enough. For me, I think like reversal edge would be a little bit better, being more patient. I think I just got a little bit nervous because it was like winners finals of a tournament. I still get nervous in tournaments, I'm not sure why. But yeah, those are my final takeaways, and the next match that we're going to have is going to be against a Taki player that I played in this same tournament that will be in grand finals. So look forward to that. All right, thanks very much.